Well, it used to be only Bernie Sanders. Now a growing number of Democrats, including quite a few who want to be the next president of the United States, are in big right now on pushing a green agenda that a lot of Republicans say is going to cost a lot of green. Democratic strategist Kristen Hahn is here, as well as Marjorie Clifton and conservative commentator Adriana Cohen. Marjorie, what do you make of this? I mean, this used to be dismissed out of hand, but now almost every one of the prominent candidates embraces the idea of a Green Deal, not necessarily to go to the extent that, for example, Congressman Cortez is advocating, but that we need one. What do you think?
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people know exactly what it means at this point. It's kind of just a buzzword, I think, for environmental focus.
I don't mean that to criticize her, but it was an overall goal with not a lot of numbers attached to it.
Right. And I think one of the things I've seen are things around mass transit and transportation and creating jobs, sort of mimicking the New Deal, post-Depression. So, I mean, I don't think it's a negative to focus on the environment and climate change as, a key talking point, be it for presidential or for the next election cycle. But the devil is in the details, and spending is going to be one of the most important things. So if there are economical solutions that mean they drive market forces, can answer our budget issues, then it's a conversation. But an idea that we're going to just pay for all of these things with no real return on it, I don't know that that's going to yield a lot of winning hands, especially with those moderates and moderate Democrats.
Adrian, I did look into this because it did have a lot of pie-in-the-sky stuff and all that. And, any big initiative will at the outset, but if you're going to make a big initiative launch, you best not scare people when you talk about the stuff that we won't be using jets anymore. We're going to change the way we go about our daily transportation. People are confused. They scratch their heads and wonder, well, how am I going to get around? And none of that's adequately explained.
That's right. I mean, it just goes to show you that how far the Democrat Party has swung to the left, because these are radical ideas that talk about, destroying air travel, destroying cars, getting fossil-fueled cars off roads. I mean, the impact to the economy, Neil, is incredible. I mean, these are trillion-dollar industries. It would upend the cargo, the entire transportation industry. Not to mention, they want to go after, the Green New Deal wants to go after flatulent cows. So what are they saying? We're going to ban hamburgers, and Americans are never going to have a barbecue and flip a hamburger again?
What if you have a non-flatulent cow? I mean, but no, to be serious, I know a lot of people pick it apart and look at the lunacy of it. There's not. Right. Some of the goals are meritorious, but Kristen, I think, for example, when you tell people you want to get rid of cars, you want to get rid of planes, without quickly offering an alternative. I know you want to get rid of fossil fuels and all that stuff. Talk about solar, talk about all these new technologies. But unless you give Americans a clear alternative, what they can look forward to that might be cheaper, more efficient, better, when it comes to planes, faster, I don't know. But none of that was done. And I thought that was surprising.
I totally agree that, this is something, this Green New Deal, it's much like how the candidates, the devil's in the details, and there are no details that I've seen. I mean, it's not bad to have big ideas, right? We wanted to go to the moon. We want to do these things. So let's have big ideas, and let's figure out how to get there.
No, that's a very good point. When John Kennedy said, land a man on the moon before the decade is out, we were in no position, given our experience, to do that.
Right. So go ahead. Yeah, but it's good to have big ideas, but the devil is in the details. And just like, this Medicare for all with the candidates, I think a lot of them are adopting their own version. So what is the Green New Deal? And I would point out that, there's the climate change committee that was just filled out in the House. And, it's filled out with a number of moderates. So, the idea that the whole party is going that direction is not true.
I tend to be a business nerd here, guys, and I always say, present it like a business plan. And I'll read it, look at it, and I won't dismiss it out of hand, but you got to present like a business plan. I do want to get your thoughts, guys, if I can change gears a little bit here. Kevin Brady was on with us, the guy who used to run the House Ways and Means Committee. Now he's its ranking minority member because Democrats are taking control. And he's very concerned about Democrats' interest, not only in that committee, to hike taxes, but more specifically yesterday, to chase down the president's tax returns. Yeah. This is Kevin Brady yesterday. They think they have a rationale for getting taxes that they've not been able to get up to now? What is it?
Yeah, they don't. Look, this isn't about whether the president should voluntarily release his tax returns. You can say yes or no to that. This is really about an abuse of power by Congress. The law today protects individual taxpayers from Congress examining them and making them public for purely partisan reasons. If Democrats twist the law and weaponize the tax code for purely partisan reasons, they've set a very dangerous precedent.
What do you think of all of this, Marjorie? I mean, the president's tax, I'm surprised they haven't come out. I know there was, in the middle of the campaign, one page of one return did come out, and people extrapolated from that a large loss that could have meant that ever since Donald Trump has not been paying taxes because he could write off the loss in future years. We'll never know. But what do you think of this?
Well, I think the effort is, I mean, it's almost become an unspoken law. I mean, you've had every modern president reveal many years of their tax reforms, typically 10 years of their tax returns. And part of that has been about transparency. It's been about honesty. It's been about ethics and in keeping with sort of the morality of our country. Trump does not play by those rules. There has not been a willingness or even I think in his mind, a need to be able to show anything. He plays by his own rules. But I think where the question is has he been playing ethically? Because there is a lot of questions, obviously, about his ethics, about his business practices, about his ties with Russia, and there's all these unknowns.
But do you think in getting those tax returns out, because the IRS is required, it is the law, once your president, the president and the vice president are closely scrutinized on any transactions they have, any deals they've scored that might be hazardous to the U.S. or not in the U.S.'s interest. So that's scrutinized as president. So what good would it do now to start digging through returns that are years or decades old?
Well, again, I think they're trying to find patterns of behavior and
they're trying
maybe,
to embarrass him, right? I mean,
well,
isn't that what
but you know what, Neil? I will say, sure. I think there's politics involved, absolutely,
no,
for
don't
sure.
get me wrong.
But
I think a president and those campaign should release their returns. I don't care how rich you are. I think you're going to put yourself out online. Your returns should be out there. But Adriana, I just wonder whether the constant resistance to doing so will encourage other candidates in the future. Well, the hell with it. I'm not going to release my returns either.
Yeah.
What do you think, Adriana?
Well, I think that there's no question that Democrats are abusing their power. They're misusing the Department of Justice to go after political opponents, and that's what's going on here. The level of attacks and investigations that Democrats are going to be launching against President Trump is unprecedented. And so we're not supposed to have the DOJ get weaponized to go after political opponents. That's what countries like North Korea do. That's not supposed to happen in the United States, and we've entered a very dangerous time. And I find it really funny how Democrats
refusing to do what everyone else has done, running for the highest office in the land, right? But whether you're something to hide or not.
I just think that transparency is a two-way street. If people want President Trump to release his...
Everyone should do it. I agree with you. You can get overdone. Each side plays games, but you're going to run for president. You put them out there. That's what you're putting yourself out there. So.
I mean, when I was a congressional staffer, I had to disclose any financial transactions I had, and I was making well under and had far less responsibility. Obviously,
territory. I knew you were in Trump territory.
but I will say,
I wish I had more time, guys. I do. I think it's a great subject. I do want to get you back. We are following this Amazon thing. We are looking at the markets coming off a little bit after.